Hi everybody, it's me again, Charles Norman from Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of AthleticSOS, so if you're trying to get your kid an athletic scholarship, you can use our software technology, absolutely no cost to you guys. Down at the bottom, I give you the code and I give you the instructions for how to use the code. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to take control of your athletic scholarship research. And so you'll be able to find all of the schools you academically qualified to attend that offer your sport at the level you can participate in college. And you'll see a list of those schools, and we'll also let you know where you fit academically. Are you at the top of the list of the kids that got into that school the previous year? You're in the middle, you're at the bottom. Does that school use the ACT or SAT as a qualifier? All those things, we give you all of that information, and then we give you a bunch of other stuff too. And so today I'm going to talk about, sometimes with these titles, people think I'm getting a little hyperbolic, but I think the summer of 2023, leading into September 1st of 2023, this is going to be the most consequential era ever for kids. It's so important that you get this right. And you can ask, why am I saying that, right? Charles, what about Title IX back in 1972, right? That allowed equal access to college sports for women. That big deal, I get it. Yeah, that was very consequential. What about the Ed O'Bannon, what did he do that? In 2015, they made the announcement that he won that lawsuit, or him and there was a couple other people that did it with him. That was a big deal, right? The NCAA, the name, image, and likeness came out of that, and look how much longer it took. That was in 2015 when the call came down, and then of course the NCAA fought back. But that's significant. That makes a huge difference moving forward. So why am I saying that this summer is going to be the most consequential ever? Because I made a couple of phone calls last week because I want to do a little investigation myself. And so I called the NCAA's offices and I asked two questions. And so the first question I asked was, if someone is going into their sophomore or junior year or their senior year in 2023, in September 2023, that's going to be either your senior, your junior, or your sophomore year. That means in the last 3 years, when all of the rules were sort of suspended, you didn't have to meet all these qualifications. So you might not meet what they're going to do in September 1st of 2023, the new rules enact, right? There's no more of the loosey-goosey kind of rules that came from 2020 through the end of the 2023 school year. It was very easy to get qualified to be able to participate at an NCAA school as an athlete because they had sort of suspended all the rules. So now the rules are coming back in September of 2023. So this summer leading in, all I asked was, what if you didn't meet the criteria that's going to come into play in September, right? Because now the 10-7's back, and you have to take all of these courses, and the GPA rules are back. They're not forcing you now to take the SAT, ACT. That is something they're taking out. But all those other stringent rules are there. If you haven't met them, especially at the D1 level, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I said, are you guys counting against the kids that went the last couple of years without having to meet those rules, and maybe they can't catch up fast enough to be eligible? How does that work? Do they get credit for that? Is this moving forward after September 1st, 2023? Is that moving forward that these people have to qualify correctly? How's it all work? And they couldn't tell me. Now, to be fair, I will say that the guy on the phone from the NCAA was really polite, and he kept asking me more questions. Well, I said, well, what if we took some online courses? Or did the courses come from the high school, or did you take them on your own, or how did that happen? Can you give me the number for those courses? Can you give me the ID for your high school? I didn't have any of this information, obviously, so we weren't able to get very far. But what I was taking from what he was trying to get to me was, everyone's case is going to be unique, and they're going to make a decision on a case-by-case basis. Okay, and then so the second question that I asked them was about the NCAA Division II rules, because when I watched the webinar for the parents from the NCAA just a few weeks ago, and I hope the rest of you guys watched it too, they talked about NCAA Division II. So in order to be eligible to play right away, the rules were pretty much almost equal to the D1, except that 10-7 rule does not apply. And the 10-7 rule is basically that you have to meet you have to have 10 of the core courses done by the time you hit your 8th semester, right? So that you're going into your senior year, basically. So you had to have at least 10 of those 16 core courses completed. The NCAA Division II, you did not have to have them completed to qualify and be able to play. For a partial qualifier for the NCAA Division II, that was the big change that I thought I saw. And so I asked him about that. I said, I was watching the webinar, and it seemed to me that to get a partial qualifier for NCAA Division II, which basically means you can accept an athletic scholarship, you can accept the money, and you can practice, but you can't participate in the games the first year, right? But that's a pretty big deal, because if I can get the scholarship and then I can practice with the team, then I still win in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not as good as being able to play the first year and have done everything correctly, but it's still a big deal. That's a big change to me. I said, is that true? The only condition I saw on that list was that I had to graduate with my class. And he said, well, hold on a minute. And then he went away for a while. He came back. And he said, you know, I asked around, and so it doesn't even say you have to graduate with your class. It just says you have to graduate before. So I don't know. And so it felt to me that they couldn't give me specific answers because they didn't want to get themselves in trouble. And I worked in a bureaucracy before. So as I'm listening to them, I go, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, we did where I worked. You don't want someone to be able to walk in and say, oh, well, Charles told me X, Y, Z. You never want that to happen in a bureaucracy world. That's the no-no. So you always go to give these half answers, or you need to get so specific for that person that when you tell them something, you're telling them, okay, you can't go tell everybody else this is the way it is, because this only applies to you because of all of these different conditions. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. So to me, the reason I say this is the most consequential summer ever is because it's all open now. It's somebody is going to be able to decide your fate based on some arbitrary measurements that are unique to you. There's no way for you to just go in and say, oh, okay, I did this and this and this, therefore I qualify to do this. That's gone. Somebody, the school, because of the ACT, SAT, a lot of the colleges aren't requiring that anymore. So you can't say, oh, I got this ACT, SAT test score and my GPA is here. How come I didn't get in? I put an application in. Now, they don't have to let you in before, but at least you had an argument before. So that's gone away for you. And so what I guess I'm trying to say here is for let's start with the parents first. So for all of the parents, and I get this all the time, all of the parents that are saying, hey, you know, college is about academics, you know, they play sports. And if your kid is good enough to get an athletic scholarship at any level, D1, NCAA Division D1, D2, D3, NAIA, even if they just want to go to junior college and they can get their books and room and board paid for, and you don't take advantage of that now, I think it's a big mistake. Because what it used to be was, for a lot of these parents, hey, my kid's got a 4.3 and they are volunteering at the local hospital or the old age home. Like, they were setting themselves up to have all of whatever the normal ways of getting invited to a college or getting accepted to a college. They were starting to do that. And they thought they had the game down pretty pat. And then a lot of people at the last minute didn't get into that really elite college that they thought they should have gotten into. And they couldn't understand why. But it's on a whole nother level now. Because of the ACT, SAT non-requirement at a lot of these colleges now, you don't know what the rules are. You don't know what gets you in or doesn't get you in. Right? And then the college now is in complete control. You put your application in, and so what the colleges are looking for, and this is what they're saying, you can read about this, go look at all different articles out. They're trying to bring not diversity necessarily on the campus, but different thought patterns and different ideas. They don't want this cookie cutter, you did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, you're a great student, you have really high GPAs, you've done all this extra stuff, you've done all the little things that if you went to a consultant to help your kid get into college, they can tell you, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then these colleges have been accepting these types of kids that have met all of these criteria. That's gone. It's gone. I don't know what they're going to do now, because now that college can decide what they want on their campus, and what they're looking for are different levels of people. They want great students. Don't get me wrong there. You still have to be a great student, but that's not going to be good enough. And so the big identifier for you now is if you have a kid that can play sports is now your kid can say, hey, listen, I played, varsity sports at my high school. I did this. In fact, if you can get the athletic scholarship, that's great. That's just a different level. But what if you can't get the scholarship? And now you can put on there that, hey, I did do this. I did play sports, and I was on varsity, and I did have a pretty good career here. It wasn't earth-shattering, but I did play and I made it through. That's going to make a bigger difference than that kid that has that 4.5, 4.3 GPA. And I know you guys are saying in your head, no, it's not. That's not fair. That kid studied. But what they want is a well-rounded individual, because what they find over and over again is those kids that just study all the time don't necessarily make the best students, because they've been studying so long. And a lot of those kids have been so geared to just, that's all they do, is that they get to college and find out they're not the end all be all anymore. Everybody in that class is at their level or higher, especially if they had to artificially get their GPA up and do all that stuff. They took an extra class, or they missed out here, or they didn't do that. When you get to college, it's a whole different level. Nobody's pushing. And I know a lot of parents feel like, oh yeah, my kid, I still have control. When that kid gets on that campus, that college doesn't have to send you any of their GPA. Did they go to class today? Did they do anything? And by the time you find out there's a problem, then it's almost too late. They could be on probation, anything can go on. And so this comes to my second thing that I get all the time. Oh, well, my kid's gonna get an academic scholarship. That surpasses an athletic scholarship. Not necessarily, because one of the things, the other thing that you have to think about is an academic scholarship is also year after year after year. It can be snatched away at any time. You don't measure up to whatever they're saying you need to measure up. And you can say to me, hey, my kid's gonna measure up. I don't worry about that. That's something we don't worry about. My kid's a great student. My kid's gonna do everything. You don't know what college life is gonna be for your kids, especially if you're this hovering type of parent where you sort of mapped out their life for them all the time. They get on that campus, they're meeting people from all over the country, from all over the world are on that campus, and it can be overwhelming for a freshman, especially if you were always the star student at your school, right? Everybody kind of doted on your kid because of their academic accomplishments, all the things they did on the campus. Maybe, you know, they valedictorian, they've probably done everything right. You get on that college campus, you're just another brick in the wall, right? You just sort of fit in, because everybody there was probably at that high level for the most part. And so especially if you went to a really prestigious school and you got in there, you've moved up to another level, and sometimes that pressure can be overwhelming, especially if the home life was pushing that. And so I don't want to go too far down in that path, but if your kid plays sports, it can get them into that school, and if they can get on the team and get an athletic scholarship, now they've got something where they're going to have study time. They're going to get the classes that they need. They're going to make sure they move forward. And I know for a lot of people that want to go into some professional things, they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. I know being an athlete, sometimes you can't take the courses required for you to get there. But the first 2 years of college are more general education anyway. So at least get there, get the scholarship, play a couple of years, and then maybe you don't play anymore. And then you save some money, because college is expensive. And if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be whatever it is that you're going to need to get your master's degree or whatever you need to go do, at least you saved a couple of years worth of debt or money didn't have to be paid out of your pocket. And you got a chance to play on the team, which comes to my next piece. The networking aspects of going to college are really, to me, the biggest reason to go. Because I know college is about education, but really college has turned into getting set up to get a job right now, or a career, or a professional level, to get to at least the middle management and hopefully beyond that, right? But your network is what's going to change your whole life. Because when you go to school, especially if you go to the right school, those people that you meet on campus, you're going to be, if you need a job or you need a recommendation, or they moved over to this field and you're in that field, those networks and those connections from the alumni, that association, that's going to change your life as far as you trying to get work and get into the field, especially later on. Once you've met, you know, past 35 into your 40s, those connections are now moving in to the higher levels of their companies or whatever they're doing in their lives, and then they can really impact you, accelerate you from maybe 35 to 55. That's where that acceleration pattern happens, and your salary keeps rising. So I'm just bringing all this stuff up for right now. Okay, so let me get away from the parent thing and all those sort of things. So let's talk about this summer as far as you being an athlete. And so as an athlete, you're starting to try to make some decisions here. So what do I do next? And what does the future mean starting in September as I'm leading up to that? What do I need to do now? Because of the NIL, the name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal, I think the most important thing that you guys can start doing now is thinking of yourself as a little small enterprise. So what I want you guys to start doing, I want you to start filming all your workouts. I want you to talk about videotape when you're preparing your meals, how you're preparing your meals, and start thinking about all these things as you're going to make yourself a brand. Okay, and so this is going to benefit you because you're going to try to get some following on social media. And for those of you that are afraid of that, or for the parents that are afraid of that, I don't want my kid doing all that stuff, I don't want them online, I think it's, you know, a really bad thing. Fine, just go ahead and videotape it anyway, because it may come in handy later. But if you're okay with this, if you start building an online audience, you'll start to get people that connect with you. And when those people start connecting with you, it could be the difference between you getting an athletic scholarship and not getting one. And this is the really important piece of this thing, is because a lot of the colleges, or the coaches and the coaching staff, are going to start looking at your social media profile, what's on there. So be really, really careful. So as a parent, one of the things you can think about is, if your kid's trying to get an athletic scholarship, they're going to be really careful on their social media, the way they use social media, right? Because they know the coaches are going to be looking at it. So maybe they won't be doing a lot of nonsense that you're worried about. But anyway, if you have that and you have a nice following, that may make the difference in you getting that athletic scholarship than somebody else, because that college coach can be thinking in their head, hey, if I bring this kid on, they've got all these followers, they're going to follow them over here. And maybe some of those kids will be impacted on wanting to come to our school later on. So it makes a good idea for me to do that. And so you kind of show your personality and who you are. The next thing that's going to be super important for you guys now is, now on your high school campus, start showing some other aspects of your personality. What other things do you like to do? Now, usually when my kids were coming up, and even when I was in high school, the athletes, they just sort of had that swag. They just have that way of carrying themselves, but they never did anything that might make them look a little geeky, right? You don't want to do anything that messes up your persona, because you're this athlete. You know, you kind of walk and you carry yourself a certain way. But now that's kind of going away. So you want to show some aspects of your personality that may be a little bit different than your athletic personality. Now, don't go too crazy with any kind of social nonsense, but I'm just talking about, maybe you're into theater, maybe you're into debating, maybe you're into anime, maybe you're into, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you like to do. You could be like sewing or macrame, whatever it is you're trying to do. Bring that part of your personality out now, and it will benefit you greatly. Because one of the things I want you guys to start thinking about is, how can you take what you really love to do, tie it with, use your sports as a platform for you to, because you already have social proof. That's what sports does for you. It gives you social proof, and you can bring that forward, and we're going to start working on that as we move forward. And this is one of the things I'm really excited about. I want you guys to think beyond the sport piece of it. What are we going to do later on in our life, and how do we start this now in a small way, and then build on it and build on it and build on it. So I want you to bring that forward too. If you're willing to, you know, go on social media and create your own brand, and start, you know, just putting stuff out about who you are, your workouts, mostly around your athletics first of all, and then talk about your schoolwork and how you're keeping your grades up and stuff like that. So you're going to be the person that people are going to look up to, those elementary, junior high school kids. They're going to start looking up to you, and they're going to start following you, and they're going to watch your pattern. And if you finally get an athletic scholarship, they're going to be like, okay, this is the way to do it. That's what you want to do. You want to be encouraging to the people that are coming behind you, but you also want to be encouraging to your peers. So the fact that you have some little side thing that you like to do and things like that, that they don't have the sports piece of it, but they're on your campus and they're kind of scared to show that too, I want you guys to be the ones to go, it's okay to be rounded, well-rounded, right? We got a lot of stuff that's in common that you may not have thought of, but yeah, I can play this sport too. So I got a little something on you, but we're all just people. We're all just trying to do the best we can. So these are the kind of things that are going to change your life, because you're going to be in a room with people that you normally wouldn't be in, because you're not just the jock on the campus that gets good grades. Those are great things to have, but you've got these other elements to you too. And when you go to college, you're going to take this with you also. When you go to college, you're going to start hanging around different kids. Maybe you can get into esports. Maybe you're into, all the other stuff that I talked about. I don't know what you're into, but that's what makes you unique. And that's the most important piece of this thing, is that you are a unique individual, and you need to show that to people, especially for the colleges. Even if you're just trying to get into the college, you're not going to play sports. You got to show that you're bringing something to this campus that is beneficial overall. It makes the school look good, because you're this well-rounded individual. You're not just books, studying, and head down, full speed ahead. I know it sounds good, and it sounds like the way to get in, and maybe you feel like that's the fair way, that's the way it should be, because college is about education, school is about education and learning, but it's not. It's about more than that. It's becoming this person that's going to go back and give to the world. That's really what it's supposed to be about. And so These are the things that these colleges are going to be looking for. But my bottom line for doing this video is, and the reason I think this is going to be a big deal, is on September 1st, all the new rules take place, and they're a little bit stricter than they were before. You're going to really have to meet that criteria. My biggest problem with all of this stuff is getting into college, you don't know what the rules are now. You don't know why you got in or you didn't get in, why your application was accepted or it was denied. And so you're going to need to find out more about what's going on. And over time, from what I'm hearing right now, is what they're going to do if you don't do the SAT, ACT, they're going to ask you to write something up. They're going to try to get you to get your teachers or your counselors at the high school to write some recommendations for you. There's some people outside of your school, they're going to be looking for recommendations. They're going to have an interview with you. It might be on the phone, it might be in person, depending on where the school is. And so you're going to have to explain who you are and why should we allow you into our school? What makes you special? Why should you be here? And if all you can talk about is how hard you study and how good your grades were and how your test scores and how your teachers love you, that's not going to be enough to get into the school that you probably want to get into. And so one of the things we're doing with AthleticSOS and why this is important and why I'm bringing this up, especially for the athletes, is you want to have some schools that are in your back pocket, that are schools you're interested in, that may not be that top tier school that you really want to get into, but you have some schools behind that. And I know for academically, everybody kind of does that. But I'm looking for you to find a school that fits who you are. Is it in the right area? Do they have the major that you want? Are they known for that major? Is that something that they really push? Because there's a lot of smaller schools, especially the NAIA schools, your Division III schools, your Division II schools, and even some of the mid-majors and stuff like that. You don't see those names all the time, but there's some great colleges all across the country. And if you know you're academically qualified to go to them, you know they have the sport that you play and they offer scholarships for it, you got to take advantage of it. If you have the skill set, I want you to use your athletic skill set to set yourself up for the life that you want moving forward. And that's really what we're trying to do. Okay, so I don't want to make this too long, but I really think this summer you're going to have to move differently than you did before. And so next week what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk more about, I kind of do this every year, but I want to do this with a little more detail. We're going to talk about, hey, should I play with my high school team or do I do this travel club team? Should I go to this combine? Should I go to the college camp that I'm interested in? How do I maneuver that? Should I get a trainer? Do I get a private trainer? What should I be trying to do with this trainer? If I'm going to play with my high school in the summer, do I let my travel club program, which may mean I don't get on that travel club program because they want to be number one, but the high school coach is now telling you, hey, you got to, if you want to make varsity, maybe you're coming from JV or the far south and you want to make varsity, how important. All of those things we're going to talk about next week. And so I want to kind of get you guys ready. I think this summer is going to be a big deal. But here's the bottom line for this whole thing. If you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior in September, this is the greatest opportunity I've ever seen for you guys in high school to be able to control your future. It's never been like this before. It's all opened up. And if you get this right, if you understand how to position yourself so that you are the person at the front of the line when someone comes looking for some people to come in or to be a part of something, if you get this right, you're going to have an advantage over everybody else that's trying to do it. And that's what we do with the software. That's what AthleticSOS is about. My goal is if you use our software and when it costs you no money to use it, then you have an advantage over all of your peers and all of your competition that's trying to get those same few athletic scholarship opportunities across the country. That's really what we're all about. I want you to use what we have, but by using it, you're going to learn how to do your own research. You're going to start learning more about yourself and what you really want to do as you move forward. You're going to start thinking about it. That's where we're going with this thing. It's not just about getting an athletic scholarship. That's why I give the technology, the software away for free, because I just say no cost. I can't say the word free. It's at no cost because what we're trying to do is build this next level of the future. You guys are going to run the world when we're all gone and it's your turn. And I want you guys to be able to go out into the world, see things and go, okay, here's where I want to be. And I need to set up to get there. And so that's what we're all about. And that's why it's okay. I don't want to leave anybody behind. That's why I'm not charging for it anymore. Because we charged $200 a year before for the software all the time. And so we had people coming in, but we were missing so many kids every single year because people, either the parent thought we were a bunch of nonsense, and I know you guys don't do that anymore because our numbers have gone through the roof. I mean, we're at tenfold right now. I'm just laughing at how many of you guys are signing up. Share this with other people because one of the things that I get from people is, well, if I'm using the software and this person's using the software and we're both in competition, both trying to get athletic scholarships, isn't that giving them an advantage too? Well, inside the software, you're going to start building a list of schools that fit who you are and what you're trying to do. No two lists are ever alike. I've never seen identical lists ever. At the most, 2 or 3 schools will match up. But other than that, once people really start doing the research, their list is completely different than everyone else's. So you're not competing with those other people. You're building your own list, your own world. So don't worry. Share the code down below. Try it first. You go log in first. Try it. See if it's everything that I'm saying it is. And if you believe in it, you share that with as many people as you want to. That code is good. And as many people that want to use it, it's there for you guys. And we don't sell your information. Once you do have to register. So you register, you become a member. We're going to offer some other stuff inside. So yes, I'm giving the software away at no cost. I don't have anything else to offer you right now, but I'm building that list of things up. We're going to put a little marketplace on the website. Hopefully you guys will buy some of that stuff, and then we'll be able to do it ourselves. When we started this thing out, I used to charge. I stopped charging, and I got some people that were willing to invest if I hit certain numbers. Now those people kind of dropped off because it's taken a while for us to build our numbers up. But now our numbers are coming up, and I'm actually happy that those people dropped off now, because we're going to do this ourselves. We're going to make this thing work for ourselves, and hopefully if I build this business, I'm going to encourage you guys as parents, you guys as the students. I want you guys to start thinking, okay, we're going to have to be a little bit entrepreneurial here. That's why I want you to start building your brand now. So all of these things are all going to come together as we move forward in this thing. So if you guys are willing to follow with us, hey, you know what? Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'll be cool too, because I'm going to start loading up here. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I'm going to load up on a bunch of stuff. We're going to have things coming in, especially this year, between now and the end of 2023, we're really hitting the ground running. And so I want you guys to be part of it. I want us to build this thing together, and we'll see how it turns out. And if I'm right, this thing will take off, and I'll have a bunch of money, and I'll be rich. But if it just does well, that's good enough for me. But you guys can watch me walk through this thing, and as I go through all of these different iterations of where I thought it was going to go and where I'm actually ending up, because it's always positive. You just have to keep moving forward and forward and forward. Okay guys, I'm going to stop here. I probably went way down too many lines there, but I'm really excited. I think this is going to be it this summer, and then we're going to lead into September of 2023. And then we're going to take off from there, and we're going to put ourselves in a position to be successful, get everything that we want out of life, and we're going to end up having this great life, and then we're going to help other people have a really good life at the very least. But we want to have a great life, and I want you guys to get there, and I want you to do it on your own terms. Okay, as always, best of luck to you in all your endeavors, and we'll see you next week. Bye.